Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Tips to Unleash Your Amazing. Today, I have a special guest that actually I think I met you right before. I want to say I met you right before I launched Unleash Your Amazing.
I think so.
Initially.
Yeah.
January of 2018?
I think so,
was it
yeah.
August? Yeah, I think
It may have been August because I think no, well, I don't remember. It was at Michael's
was it at the first referral mastery or
it was a
CRT?
CRT event.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Chris Angell is an amazing person, and I've been following him and been friends with him now for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer. And I asked him to come today and share some marketing tips with you for you to unleash your amazing message. Chris, why don't you share a little bit about yourself? Welcome.
Yeah. By the way, thanks, Tammy. And I always love your energy. You're such a ray of sunshine and amazing. So I just really appreciate being here. And it's fun. I think it's fun in the world of business and marketing to find others who are seeking their truth, right? They're on their path, finding their amazing thing, because it's business is such a can be such a soul-sucking experience. Sometimes we're like, what am I doing? And sometimes business asks you to be things that you're not, and that is the whole confusion of things, you know. So I got my start in business at the age of 24 as a real estate agent. I sold for 6.5 years. I was an okay agent. I think the most I ever sold was 30 houses in a year. It wasn't, I wasn't killing it, but it was better than average. My heart was in leadership, and I had an opportunity 6.5 years in to run a real estate company. Did that for 5 years. I had moved my family. We had 200 agents. Did a lot with disc training at the time.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, this was my origin story of this whole thing, was that I saw so many brilliant and wonderful souls in my office who felt lost in real estate because they felt like they were being asked to do things they weren't wired for. And so they would resist calling FSBOs and expireds. They would resist reaching out to their database because they didn't want to feel like there was a hidden agenda. There was all this icky feeling stuff around trying to grow a business. And I just thought it shouldn't be this way. Like, they're amazing human beings should be able to connect with other people in such a way that those people feel safe enough to hire them. And this is where my idea started, right? Was you can be authentic in who you are in marketing, because that is actually what people buy. They want to buy and work with you for what I call safe passage, right? They're giving you money or hiring you for safe passage to the things that are most important in their life. But in order for them to feel safe with you and safe passage, you have to be who you really are. Stop being something you're not and be who you are, because that's what people want.
You be you. Yes.
Do you, boo.
Do you, boo. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I love that. I think that is such a powerful message that a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many people who I think when we get into business, if you're like me, I didn't think of myself as a business person. I got into real estate because of the flexibility, the financial potential, and I didn't know where else I belonged, frankly. All right, I didn't know what my career was, so I'm like, oh, I'll do real estate. That'll be great. By the way, I don't think that's uncommon in the real estate space, right? And so we get into business for ourselves, and then we look at everybody else as if they know what they're talking about, because we don't feel like we know what we're talking about. And so we build a career inside this bubble called I don't know, you must know. And we never find our path or our truth, you know?
Yes. You know, that reminds me, I just was taking this additional certification, and well, one of my mentors was like, okay, so once you get that, will you feel like you have enough education?
Ouch. Yeah.
But the assessment actually showed that too. It showed that that I need to learn so much information, and then once I get it, then I'm like, okay, let's go.
Right.
But I have to have all of the facts, even though I'm a high D, which I can go. But sometimes I need a lot more information. So it was pretty powerful to understand, you know, while I have a message to share, um, I've been spending all this extra time like understanding like how the brain works and things that
Yeah.
maybe you don't always have to have all of that information before you share your message.
I think so. I think that's true. I think people, I call this era that we're in the tribal economy. Like we're no longer in the information age. Information isn't valuable anymore because we have a ton of it, right? High supply, low demand, like high supply of information, low demand. And by the way, the information that's available today is who knows what, like everybody's fact checking everything because we're trying to be like, is that true? Is that not true? I don't know. And so information doesn't have the same premium that it used to have because everybody's broadcasting a message. So in the tribal economy, what matters now is connection, not information. And your certifications, I see this in real estate a lot, right? Because people are getting different kinds of certifications to try to, whatever, I don't know what, prove that they put some letters behind your name to prove that you are legit. But that's not in the tribal economy. That's not what matters to people. They want connection. And connection doesn't come from information. It comes from your truth. Connection comes from you being honest and transparent. Because we're all like, as humans, we're all out here behind our mask, operating in the world, hoping that you don't take advantage of me, right? If we talk about the fear of D's, right? Being taken advantage of, like now all of humans are kind of like here going, please don't take advantage of me. And so we play our cards very close to our chest. But you as a business person do the same thing. You're like, I hope this client doesn't take advantage of me. So what we have are humans behind their masks interacting with each other. We have this inauthentic exchange in business. And the only way to get it to be authentic is for you, the business person, to be the first one to step out from behind your mask so that they can see transparently, this is who you are. And if you do that, they'll step out from behind their mask.
So I feel like I am pretty transparent, but I have gotten a lot of flack over the years from some of my friends as I have like really grown into my truth and shared my truth, maybe a little much. I don't know. Like,
Can you share your truth too much? I don't know.
I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
And so what you're actually telling me, and I think one of the reasons I really connect with your messaging is you're about sharing your message authentically. And I love that because I am about sharing the authentic message.
Yeah.
It sometimes might feel a little chaotic, but it's truth, and it's, life is sometimes a little chaotic. And if we can't share the crazy bad, then we shouldn't be sharing the amazing good because all of it is part of our journey.
Yeah. I think that's what helps people know that you're a real human. It's not to say that, I don't think that we need to go out on Facebook and be transparent in the name of, I'm just going to, like hang out all my dirty laundry for everybody to see. I don't think that's what we mean by transparency, but that I have a podcast called Marketing for the Rest of Us. And half of my episodes are just me coming to you with the questions that I have in life, not my answers. I think so many people hide behind answers, and sometimes we don't have all the answers. So if I can take the things that are confusing to me and shape them for you in a way that it helps you while I'm having the question, I think that makes the world better. And instead of being the kind of expert that has all the answers, you come to trust that I will give you my questions too. Like Chris doesn't have it all figured out.
I love that. And I love that you're transparent about that, because I would way rather work with somebody that says, hey, we're going to figure this out together than to always be like telling me, shoving it down. You have to do this. Well, okay. Are we open to discussion? Can we mastermind around what is best? Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because it respects the other person for what life has taught them. Like you're a smart human being. Life has taught you things and I respect that. So let's have a conversation. Yeah. I think when you start to try to be the expert and tell people things without having demonstrated that you also are a human that has questions, then I think it comes off as preachy.
So how do you find your voice?
Yeah. Yes. That's like the $1,000,000 question, I think, because I think once you find your voice, everything gets easier. Everything, because you stop trying to be something you're not. So, by the way, the first step in 4 steps of unleashing your amazing message is finding it. Find your voice. Find the thing you're here to say to the world. So your voice is found in the things life has taught you. I believe life has prepared you for the very message you're here to share with the world, right? Like, we don't go read books and share that message because we don't need that from you. What we want from you is for you to share with us what life has taught you. So that's where the message starts. What has life taught you? And don't tell me it taught you, like, market statistics, and it taught you all the information of things. We want to know what deep things has life taught you, because that's what moves the soul. That's what creates the connection, right? So this is the hard part, because in finding your voice, you're going to have to start to get a little vulnerable with yourself and share some things that can be hard to share, right? That you don't have all the answers sometimes can be hard to share, right? Because you're behind your mask, afraid to be hurt by somebody else behind their mask. So finding your voice is about you looking into your life and what has life already taught you. That's the nutshell.
I like that. Well, life has taught me a lot of different lessons. I don't know, like, how do you decide what message, what lesson that you're going to share?
Yes, that's so good. Okay, so that then we can add in to the finding it step here, or tip is once you start to go, okay, so for example, I felt like one of the things that life taught me was just about authenticity, right? Because I spent a lot of my life trying to be something I wasn't. I spent a lot of life being a chameleon, fitting in any group, being anything I needed to, but always feeling like I was falling short of my potential, like always feeling behind. I'm like, I see who I think I can be, and then who I'm actually at and the results I'm having aren't that. So for me, I realized that authenticity was part of this missing piece for me. So that was the beginning of finding a message. But when you start to add in the who it's for, who is this message for, it gives you some very specific refining to what that message is. So is it authenticity for parents? Is it authenticity for CEOs? For me, it was authenticity for people in business. And I started off trying to share that to real estate agents. Now, the hard part was, at least at the time I was doing that, most real estate agents just wanted to know if they got a lead, because they didn't, right? It was too hard to go to connect the dots between how am I going to share my truth and that turns into a lead. They just didn't really get that. So what I started to do was share it to healers and coaches. I started to talk about authenticity in your business and your marketing so that healers and coaches could grow their business. And they seem to get that message faster, right? So there is they have,
like, a healer and a coach is going to be somebody that it for sure is going to really resonate with that message.
Yeah.
Because, they realize that they're here for, a greater impact. But a lot of times it's just hard to really understand what that impact is and gain clarity in your messaging.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think part of that's so true. And I think part of finding this voice, this message that you have, like when I started to share it with people who could hear it, it validated in me the truth of that, right? Because there was a time where I was teaching authenticity in marketing and it wasn't landing as well. And I thought, did I get this wrong? And so there'll be a time in your life where you start to lean into the truths that life has taught you. And then you start to share those truths with people, and it might land on deaf ears. And you're like, oh, like, is this wrong? Is this not my truth? Is this not what I'm supposed to be saying? And the refinement here is that it just may not be the right people. It's the right message, but is it the right people? Who has ears to hear what life has taught me?
I love that. So with trying to get my messaging in my own business and, doing it on Facebook and creating my group, which is a pretty active group as far as, people are reading and I'm hitting different people. but it's such a diverse group. Like I have realtors in there. I've got mortgage people. I've got widows. I have people that are like survivors of emotional abuse, like trauma. Like, okay, welcome everybody.
Yeah.
So when you have a very diverse group, how do you define your message?
That's so good. So, there's a lot of, in the marketing space, there's a lot of avatar exercises, like who is your avatar, right? And we oftentimes come up with these demographic profiles, like, oh, they're 35 to 45, right? And we do these things, but for me, it's much easier than that, but you have to look somewhere else. And I think that is in what I call the madness and misery that they all share, right? So what makes your tribe is not that they're all real estate agents or that they're all moms or whatever, but what makes them your tribe is that they all have the same madness they feel stuck in. So does that make sense?
Yes.
If I feel like I'm somebody who wants to live a bigger life, but I keep feeling stuck because I'm trying to be something I'm not, that's the madness that my whole tribe shares. And it doesn't matter if they're mom or a dad or a real estate agent or a lender, that you feel like you could go somewhere else, but you're not, because you're buried under the expectations of others and you're being someone you're not. That is where you get to speak from in your message. And that's where they find comfort and acknowledgement in your message. Yeah. Yeah. I know. That's how it was for me too. I was like, whoa, this is crazy, because this is where people feel connection in the tribal economy. So if you were doing a DISC program, for example, you could think about, like, what is it? Like, the DISC is such an amazing tool. What is the madness my people are experiencing collectively that the DISC helps them step out of, right? The DISC is a tool to step out of the madness and misery that you're all experiencing.
It's a way to understand how other people communicate so that you can create more win-win relationships and,
right,
take the divorce statistics down, maybe.
Yeah. Right. So in that already, I hear, if I had to put my coaching hat on, I'd be like, oh, so I hear that there's a relationship thing. Like, relationships are important to your tribe, is my guess.
Yeah.
And so I would start to poke around and look at, like, where do people feel stuck in relationships? Like, are you the one that's always giving in the relationship? Are you the one who always feels like you're sharing? Are you the one who, like, there are some places where people feel like the relationship could be better. It's why they value relationships, because they're good at it. They're like, I'm good at relationships, but I seem to be one of the better ones at relationships in my group. And I wish others were better too, because we could really do some stuff together. So you start to explore where people feel stuck in relationships, and that becomes a really powerful frame for people to relate to the DISC,
Yeah.
And I think you do this already naturally. So I'm just trying to codify it, right? Where we're going, like, how could we begin to actually look at specific things and not stumble into it, but go like, oh, this is what life has taught me. This is who it's for. And we start to find an image that starts to appear about what our message is.
And so is that taking us into capturing it?
Yeah. Once you have a sense of what the message is, you want to start sharing that with the world, because most people don't share. They have it in they have an idea in their head, but then they get worried about the camera, or they get worried about the technology of things, and we don't like the way we look or sound, and we feel stupid, and nobody likes to feel that way. So we don't share, right? We don't speak up. So I realized years ago, I love to teach. So I would teach at different real estate offices, and people would say, can I just put you in my pocket and bring you with me? You say it for me. And
is that an option?
Yeah, right. Like mini Chris, we'll just put mini Chris in the pocket and off we go. But that's why I created my program, because I realized, if I could teach you how to do it, then you wouldn't need me. Like, if I could teach you to fish, you wouldn't need me to give you a fish. So, but the insight was that there are moments in all of our lives where we sit down, let's say with a friend for coffee, and we start to share something that we're passionate about. And what comes out of our mouth is this amazing and truthful thing. We're like, wow, I really felt that. And so does the person you're having coffee with. And if you could have just captured it, if there was somebody around you that had a camera and they just turned it on and you didn't know.
So you're saying that I should start recording all of my conversations.
You just have a camera that floats with you everywhere you go.
Hello.
Right? But that's the idea of capturing, because the minute we start to think about marketing, what we do is we put a marketing hat on and we get weird, right? We start to think from a place that is scripted and stiff and starchy, rather than like when we're in a conversation with people. See, in marketing videos, we think, oh, nobody's going to watch a 20-minute video, so I got to do like a 60-second soundbite. But it's impossible to say something super eloquent and powerful in 60 seconds from start to stop on your camera. But if you gave yourself 20 minutes to share with your camera, like you were having coffee with a friend, and you just let yourself go, inside of that 20 minutes, you might find a 2-minute clip or soundbite that was full of truth and power. It just takes you a while to get there. So the capturing it phase of this unleashing your amazing message is giving yourself some grace and some space to just talk through what life is teaching you, and trust that in the process of sharing it, there will be some sound bites that are full of truth and power.
I like that a lot. I find it, so the reason I created Tuesday Tips was because I was feeling so awkward trying to record myself. Yeah. Well, at the time in my basement, like I'm talking to myself in my basement, super right? Awkward.
Yeah.
So I found it easier to go, well, for sure to go live, because then I can't let my brain go, oh no, that didn't look right. Or right. It's just out there. So that's my way of just combating any paralysis analysis of what I look like or what I say. Is I just go live and do it.
Yep. Yes. I love lives for that reason too. The same reason. Yeah. Yep. It's showtime. I can't take that one back. It's out there.
It's out there. It's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody ever probably died. I guess I can't say ever. That's a total D thing. But nobody typically is going to die from sharing their message and going live on Facebook or wherever. Yeah. Just doing it is super powerful, and it's empowering at the same time, because people do want to connect, as you said, with others.
I think those are two really good tips from this particular step of capturing it. Is one, interviews are a great way to get started. You can, when you have a conversation like this, we are capturing this. We're going live and recording this right now. Like, this is recorded. I could go back and I could pull out. I've already been fired up a couple times in our conversation so far. I could come back and grab a couple clips and use those in marketing, right? But interviews are a great way to capture your passion and your truth. And so are lives. Lives, a second good tip here, or suggestion, right? Is that when you go live, it's a whole other game, but it's a great practice to capture what you want to say, because you can't take it back. You can't record it and be like, nope, that sucked, we're going to do it again, because it's just live. It just live. I would say that in the capture phase, you just, one of the things you have to adjust is your expectation that this is going to suck. You just have to kind of own that there's going to be a season where you doing these videos to the public are going to suck. There's no way around that. It's all I say in my programs. It's all about the reps. You have to do the reps. You can't think it out and then it comes out perfect. You just got to have enough at bats to talk about and talk through your truth. And you're going to stumble over your words, and it's going to be embarrassing maybe. But you know what's interesting? There's so much love and grace for you when you do that in public. You think everybody's going to hate on you, but what you actually get is support and love for you showing up.
Yes. And I think that most of the time, because I always would go back and listen to it again so I can judge myself in private. But it usually was like not that bad. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
that wasn't too good job. You were a nervous wreck the whole time, but you know, you got that out there, and that's a good job.
Yeah. Right. Totally. Yeah. So good.
And so then after all that, then you produce it.
Yeah. So the third tip here or step would be to produce it. So when you've captured, what we're capturing is raw material. Yeah, like 20 minutes, let's say, of you talking through your truth. That's raw material. And you're actually going to release that raw material to the world to see. You're not going to like do raw material and then not let the world see it. But because by the way, there are some of your raving fans who want to spend that time with you. They like the uncut, rough version of what your truth is, and they want to hang out in your space, right? So don't make everything a soundbite. But once you have that raw material, the third step here is to produce it. So we actually get to go into that raw material now and find the sound bites that we want to pull out. We can put them, you could put it in a podcast. You could put the whole thing in a podcast. You could share it to your YouTube channel. You could grab a sound bite and run it as an Instagram story. You could run it as a Facebook ad. But we're grabbing your truth now and we're producing this content into the world as a show, like you have here, right? Exactly like you have here. Yep. Yeah. And then sometimes having a container like a show just makes it feel like it is something that we're doing and not just, you know, a random video today. Like Oprah had the Oprah show. Like there was a show and people organized their lives around being there for Oprah, and it kind of, the container of it kind of created it as a thing. Versus if Oprah was just like, hey, I'm doing one more video out in the world, and it wasn't a part of a container, then there's just less anticipation for it. So it's good to create a show as a container for your truth. So that's the producing piece.
Yeah. And then sharing it.
Yep. And then sharing it is just about what are the ways that we share. I think a lot of people in this day and age are what I call chasing algorithms. Right? We're trying to please the algorithm. So we're going to post 8 times a day. I think Gary Vaynerchuk said, do 100 posts a day. Like, really? 100 posts a day? Really? I mean, why? Because we don't know the algorithm. So we're trying to hack the algorithm with just overkill. That's not the game I'm playing in my marketing. The game I'm playing in my marketing is I want to make the world a better place through the truth I share. So I do this on my terms. But on my terms, then I just want to have a plan. What's the plan for how to share? And so sharing is just coming up with your plan for how and where you share this in the world. And then being okay with that rather than always feeling like you're not doing enough in your marketing checklist, right?
Yes. Yeah. Having a checklist and consistent ways that you're sharing your message and, you know, just getting it out there. That's I think the hardest thing. So for me personally is this is good because I mean, you guys basically come up with the content and I just talk with you for a while.
Great. Yeah. Smart.
But whenever I'm, you know, doing my own posts and my own messaging, I do like to go and be like, you know, okay, so this week I'm going to talk about this. And next week, so this week I'm going to talk about DISC. Next week, I'm going to talk about relationships and then referrals. My mind doesn't work like that. So if I'm going to do something and be like live, which we've already established, I need to do that so that I overcome I'm going to re-record that. I'm going to re-record that.
Yeah. Right.
So what do you what advice do you have to somebody whose mind is a little bit more, they're not as good at a plan of staying, just have that topic, like a set day that they're doing it, or what is your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not a planner either. I'm a shoot from the hip guy. That's my MO. I'm a high ISD actually. I used to be an ID, but now I think as I've gotten older and into myself, I think I'm a ISD. But so I'm not super planned. What I did was I just decided to create a daily show. The daily show for me is the thing that holds my feet to the fire. So I just know every day I was going to create a show or create an episode. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have a content calendar that told me. What I do is I look, I have 2 things here. The first thing I did was I would look into my life and be like, what am I present to today? What is life teaching me today? What am I noticing? What am I feeling? Because that feels real to me. And and if I can find what I'm present to, I can capture my conviction about it. If I go off of a content calendar that's like, today is National Pizza Day, I'm not present to the passion about pizza. Like, I'm like, I don't know what, like, as existential value this has when me talking about pizza. So I'm like, what am I wrestling with today? And this is the thing that I then have to work through to figure out, how do I share this in a way that's valuable for you? Right. So that's the first place. I realized that I've had a lot of repetitions with that. So I got better at it over time. I ended up creating a card deck. Do you know, like Oracle decks or decks where you pull cards? So I created a deck of cards. You can see my virtual background there kicking in, but these cards, and you can pull cards and you can start to just get some inspiration for, here, let's do it together. The first card you'd pull is like, let's call it a madness card. So you could pull a madness card called shy. And all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, so where have I been shy in my life? Where have I been shy in my life? And now you have all kinds of life events of where you were shy. You have
I'm actually shy when I first meet people.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. So then you go, okay, so you already have a moment. You're like, I'm shy when I meet people. So then we would pull a mindset card. And a mindset card is simply like, what is the new mindset you would need or that you used to get out of the shyness, right? To get out of the madness. So let's pull a card for the mindset. And we would go, hang on. We would go, okay, so here's one called fierce.
Yeah.
So how can you find a place in all the times you were shy meeting people where you decided that you just needed to get fierce about it, and you would just use that as the skeleton or the frame to hold this message, and you would just talk like you were having coffee with a friend about that experience, right? I remember a time I went to CRT. I was sitting in the back of the room. I was very shy because I didn't know people. Now I love people, but when I'm around new people, I'm very shy. But I was sponsoring this event. I thought, if I'm going to leave a lasting impression, I've got to get to a spot where I can feel all of who I am, right? So I made a decision to get fierce. How did I do that? And you would just talk through it like that, and give yourself 10 to 20 minutes to just talk through it. And what would come out are some amazing sound bites that were helpful for others, but also true for you. You know,
I want some of those cards. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a spark. I call them content sparks, right? You spark something for your content, and then off you go. Because all you're pulling from is your life experience. I think that's the part that's so cool here, is there's no script here. So many people get in their head about it, but when you start to pull from your life experience, it's all somatic. Like, you know what it feels like because you've lived it.
Yeah, you know the story. You just need to be reminded of that story, because we have so much in our brains that it's hard to always recall something that you learned in a way that could impact other people, unless you have just a little trigger. I love that. That is such a great idea, Chris.
Thank you. That's so true. We have, most of the time people say, I don't know what to say, or I have nothing to say. But the truth is that they actually have too many things to say, and they don't know which one to pick. I don't even know where to start, you know?
So you, would you like to talk a little bit about your program?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. My first program, I have a sequence of programs, but it always starts with the first one called the Groundswell Method Intensive, which is 6 weeks that walk you through how to find it, capture it, produce it, share it. And then we also throw in, how do we map that conversation onto the journey of your people? So in week 2, we actually talk about, how do we take this message you have and make it apply to the right people at the right season of their life? Because you could have the right message, but to the wrong people, or to the right people in the wrong season of life, it won't land. So you got to know who you're speaking to. And then the last section, week 6, is about, how do we take this message and grow it? How do we grow this body of work over time? So it's 6 weeks with me, 2 hours each week. And there are 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me, so that you and I can get into specific things for you. So It's been great. I've done it 9 times. We had 9 cohorts graduate the program in the last year and a half, and it's really fun. It's really fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that when I first met you, you were had just started working with Michael Mayer doing the referrals podcast, and so that was and that's taken off in such a great way. I'm sure that you have other amazing clients that you've helped along the way to share your message.
It's fun. Podcasting is such a fun medium because there's so much, there's conversations and people speaking their truth. I realized with my agency that in some ways I was doing a disservice to people because we provided co-hosting services and then we would produce the episode. So in some ways it was great because all you had to do was show up and we'd interview you. But the flip side of that was for many people who liked the idea of it, they didn't actually know what their message was yet. And so we could be they could be a client for a year. And at the end of the year, they weren't any clearer on capturing their convicted voice or their message, right? Because they were always leaning on the co-host to pull it out of them. But that's why I started the intensive. I'm like, I actually need to teach you how to do all of this so that you can just keep going from your voice rather than leaning on someone else to pull your voice out of you. So what started as I felt like a noble calling to create an agency to pull out their message. I realized at the end that I'm like, what I need is to actually teach you how to do it because I don't want you to be dependent on me to keep pulling this out of you. I want you to do this for you. So that's why I started the intensive program and why we've been doing that the last year and a half.
I love that. Yeah, it is important to know how to share your message on your own authentically, as well as, and some people aren't going to respond better to that method anyway, naturally. They're going to respond better. They're going to be able to get their message out in a way that is more impactful by using a system. Well, most people, everybody needs a system.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, very cool.
Yeah. I wish people, I had final thoughts. I wish people would lean into their voice more because life has taught you some amazing lessons. And I think we often dismiss or diminish our value and what life has taught us because we think we don't have anything to say, or who am I to say, or I don't know, others know more than me. And then all that does is invalidate your life's experience and continues to make you feel small. But when you start to find your voice, this is the cool part. When you find your voice, you actually step into your bigness. You actually start to feel how big you are. And the more you step into your voice, the bigger you feel. So what's missing for most people in business is their voice. You can read all the books, all the podcasts, go to all the courses, hire all the coaches. But if you never find your voice, you will always feel small because there's a bigger version of you trying to get out, but you're not giving it the voice it has. So if you want to step into the next level of what's there for you in business, you got to step into your voice. That's it. It's not in a book. You don't find it in a book. You find it by using your voice.
Yes. And I like what you said about it's invalidating when you're not, because I think that what keeps people stuck is whenever their message and their truth is invalidated by others. But the number one thing that you can do to yourself that is going to hurt you is invalidate your own message. And I think that is something that it took me a really long time to understand, is that we have to understand what our voice is and validate it on our own. Forget other people validating you. Your message is going to help others, and just being yourself is powerful in itself. And quit invalidating yourself and get out there and share your message.
Right. Yes. You could even say, unleash your amazing.
Yes. Unleash your amazing.
Right. Quit invalidating yourself and unleash your amazing already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for all of your time and sharing today. I really appreciate you and all the information you gave
Thanks,
us today.
Tammy. Thanks for having me. I love what you're up to. I love this whole message and container called Unleash Your Amazing, because everybody is so amazing. They just need to unleash it.
They do. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Tammy.
day.